this is Cynthia Rotenberger again, Bride of Christ Standing in the Gap Ministries. Um, I'm sharing about topics about narcissistic abuse because that's what Jesus, when I was killed and taken up to heaven with him, that was the main topic that he imparted in me and wants me to talk about, especially now for such a time as this. And um, I shared a little bit in the previous about some of the abuse when I was a baby, but I also wanted to talk about some more of the family dynamics of narcissistic abuse. And like I said, I'm in the previous video, I certified at prison ministry because I got certified to do prison ministry because I wanted to minister, because Jesus told me to minister to the drunk driver that hit us, killed my husband and killed me. So it took me 8 years to get into prison or to minister to him, because it was against the law for a victim to minister to someone that has done something like that. I can't think of the term right now, but the point is, so I was doing prison ministry, and Harrisburg was watching me, Crime Victims Council. They said because of my love, they changed the law, which I wasn't even trying to do, but isn't that Jesus Christ of Nazareth through me? And so I got to go into prison and talk to the person that hit us head on. But I'm just trying to explain that I've been trained in different personality types, and my background, I studied to be an occupational therapist when I was in my teens, and we were the only part of the medical field that believed that people were possessed and needed exorcisms. And no one else believed. Everything else was just psychology, but we believed that in occupational therapy. So we learned a lot about the different personality traits and sociopath and psychopath and just everything, all the different mental illnesses and different traits that people have and that have to overcome. So when I wasn't trying to get certified at a serial murder level, but it just happened that when I was sharing at Crime Victims Council to parents whose children were violently murdered, one of the families, the women came up to me, saw me in a store, and they came up and said, would you consider going and ministering to the local serial murderer that murdered our daughter? And she said, I want to give you her keyboard, because I would always take a keyboard into prison and minister to the people there. So I told her yes. So that whole thing was being set up from. That's how I got certified. That's the point of it, to minister at serial murder level. It didn't work out because there was complications in the prison. It was too dangerous for my son because it's a whole culture, and so they were concerned at that point that something might happen. So we had to shut it down. But I still remained certified at that level, and I ministered in maximum security prisons to roomfuls of people that were at that level. And it's again Jesus Christ of Nazareth. But get back to what I was talking about. That's how I got to learn about different personality traits and narcissism, and it's abuse. I mean, but abuse and narcissism are the same thing. And Jesus told me it's there's two things. It's God or Satan, or love and abuse. That's it. And that pretty much sums up everything going on. Either we're walking in compassion or we're walking in narcissism. There's no in between. There's no nothing but that. Except when you get abused from narcissistic abuse, you're frozen from what it does to you, because it injures your soul so much. The coercion completely injures you so much in the depth of your being. So I wanted to talk about some of the things that I experienced in my home that caused me to become so codependent. And they use that term as a scapegoat. That was my role in the family, a scapegoat. And if you know what that represents in Christianity, so they would dump all their sins on me and then just let me struggle, just ignore you, to put it mildly. But the point is some. I mean, some of the things were I was just I was told ever since I was a little girl to um, sit on one of my uncle's lap, and he was he was he was mentally challenged from so much abuse in his life. So it was just a strange situation, and he was my uncle, and I was just told, I mean, to admit, it was just weird because even when I got older, I was told, go sit on your uncle's lap, and that's just weird, and I mean, it's inappropriate. It was immoral, and some of the other, I mean, that's just some of it, just really exploited for who who I was, never really recognized. Uh, if I talk, I had such an experience with the Lord all my life, and if I did good things, I was punished for that, and ignored, and just um, ignored, punished. There's nothing like having love withdrawn, and or just acting like you don't exist, invisible. That's the word I want. That's what narcissists do. They treat you like your emotions, anything you need is invisible. They will, you do not get your needs met at all, but you have to meet all their needs all the time, just complete all the time. You're serving them, and it's never enough, and it's just unbelievable. You just become invisible, and that's codependent to the highest level. I could have won the award for it, the Emmy for codependence, because that's what was done to me. And at age 17, I didn't even want to drive, so I walked through the field, and I got discovered. I was working at a woman's clothing store, and I got discovered. They asked me if I wanted to be a model. I didn't really want to, but they flew professional models in. I actually got put through modeling school. I didn't have to pay for it, and so I wouldn't model on anything risque, but I became a model, which probably helped. God used it to help me get some esteem, somewhat. But I was never. It was never recognized. I had to, like, I would get really beautiful clothing, and I had to give them to another family member instead of me. Oh, give them, because that person did want to be a model and was in modeling school. I didn't want to be. I was just doing it because it was just offered to me, and they trained me, and it was, I mean, I was just, it was just good. God, like I said, used it to help me develop into a woman, a feminine person after all the coercion and everything. But the point is I was never recognized for that in my family. And again, that invisible, when something so good is happening, and you don't get the attention. And even when I was a little girl, if it was my birthday, my other close member in my family had to have a birthday cake too. So again, how can you develop? I didn't develop. I didn't even recognize that it was my birthday. Again, specifically, narcissism takes away your identity. This is so important to understand, because that's what Jesus gave me back through getting killed and having such severe brain injury, among everything else, 13 fatal injuries. But I lost my mind and got the mind of Christ. But it's to talk about this and explain the severest damage that it does to you, and to not be recognized when you're, recognized. I had good qualities. I mean, it was God-given qualities, but never really appreciated. I mean, by like I said, I played piano and accordion and organ and whatever instruments I could get, guitar, but it I did it as under the Lord, which was the best thing to do. I mean, I was just doing it because there was so much confusion and chaos and abuse in the house, and I was abused, so that the Lord would heal me through that. But another type of abuse is I had I always rescued animals. I loved animals, and I always rescued them. And but I got this beautiful cocoa brown cat that was expensive, and um, I I was gone. I was busy. I was gone for a few days, and I came back, and the cat had been locked out of the house by a close family member again, one of the ones that severely abused me, and it was frozen to death sitting on the porch, and that person was laughing at me because I saw my frozen, beautiful frozen cat. I mean, that's really hurtful, really inappropriate. That's that's sociopathic, psychopathic. It's in that category, but that's what narcissism is. I mean, and then to enjoy the shock, that's just over the top. But that's some of the types of things. That and um, when I'd be with with my son's father before we had Lance, and he was courting me. His family member would come in and flash her intimate her chest. I mean, oh my gosh, and just say like, well, some of the most crazy things. But I was subjected to that too. And I mean, these are just some of the things, but when you're subjected to so much of this, it numbs you out. It desensitizes you. You start thinking it's normal, and the feeling you get is so awful. You think something's wrong with you. The feeling, because unless you get support, that horrible feeling, you think is your fault that you feel so bad. And that's the issue. While I'm talking about this, anybody who says they're a Christian or ecclesia, there's no excuse for any of us not to be helping and not to be supporting and have compassion in every single way. And us that have gone through this and are going through it. I mean, these are just some of the things, just being so exploited. It's just used for whatever people need. I mean, again, my close family member, there was a fiance involved that was interested in me. It was my home, so I'm there, so I can't help it who comes in my house. But I'll make the story short. Well, first it was put in my drink at home, my iced tea. I'd never done drugs or drank or anything. Something was put in my iced tea, and I was left alone with it. And the whole carpet started moving like it was snakes. Okay, that was my first experience. But then I was out with one of my friends, and all of a sudden I saw the fiance of a family member, and they were saying really hurtful things about the person that I was dating and close to. He doesn't want anything to do with you. He doesn't, just horrible, horrible things. The point is, it made me vulnerable, and something was put in my drink. All I know is I woke up in a motel, and this person was going to rape me. And I said, if you do, I will tell everybody. Well, it stopped, but I couldn't get away until that person fell asleep. And I crawled out, and I got out, and I left, and I made it home. But it was never resolved. I was very, very withdrawn, very coerced. I never talked about it to this very day. I never had any vindication for it. I was judged as though I did something, and I didn't. I mean, it's just so insane. My whole life changed when I said to my family, if either this person leaves or I'm leaving, and I was told, well, then you leave. Well, that began the trauma of my life, because I left, and I never would have, and I never would have gotten married so young, but I did, and I moved to another state and everything. Again, because I was anointed, I got put in positions where it was that, I was somehow God always put me in a position where people could see I was well seen and known. Okay, so and I was never like that. Even when I went to church, I sat in the back. But the point is that it just started. I'm still realizing what it did to my life. That's how severe narcissistic abuse is. All this is narcissistic abuse. All this. So this is just, and I mean, I know that it's all over the place. I know that. I mean, from all the years and years that I was in the shelter getting counseling. Oh my gosh, we had judges' wives in there that were abused, police chiefs, all kinds of, from all fields. That is, it's not just street. It's all levels of life. Okay, women that had to change their identities. I mean, it was just unbelievable, and it. But here we are now, and it's even worse. But finally, it's coming out to the light because enough is enough. Jesus paid for this to come out in the light. For people, he delivered. He bore this on the cross. All this, sorrows, pains, griefs, all this tremendous, tremendous abuse. That's. I heard Jesus weeping over it. What it does, it steals people's identities. That can't happen because Jesus paid to give us back our identity, which is to be like him. And that's it. There's no option. It's like him. So again, we decree and declare that, decree a thing and it shall be established. And when you're pressed down, say there's a lifting up. So where there's a lifting up, we believe that. We look like Jesus Christ of Nazareth because he paid for all this. And I'll be till the day that whatever, until I am in heaven with Jesus, I will be conveying this, who the real Yeshua HaMashiach is, because that was a major thing he told me. Most people do not know him, and I know that for a fact from all this. It's people say they do, but they don't. You'll know them by their fruit, and that's what he told me. You'll know them by the way they treat you. That's why you're widowed, disabled, and your son's fatherless on earth, because those are the weakest of them all. We'll see who shows you the real Jesus Christ of Nazareth, the real Yeshua HaMashiach. And so that's and that goes for everybody. But I'm the one that he told this to. So that's his choice. He said, because of the love. And my whole life, that's what I pursued. I didn't even know that it was in 1 Corinthians 13 and 1 Corinthians 14:1. Pursue love, make it your great quest, your great aim, and earnestly desire the spiritual gifts, especially that you may prophesy. Okay, well, I was pursuing that my whole life. And prophesying not just by my life but by my actions, which is what. And if you don't show up by your actions, it ain't happening. So this is my point, and what the Lord let me go through, and still, because there's no excuse for any of us not to be. Better to be hot or cold than lukewarm, or he'll spew us out of our mouth. And spew means projectile vomit. And I remember saying that. That's what it means. And being told, don't say that. Well, that's what it means. Just like, don't talk about sexual abuse. Don't talk about that. Don't talk about what they're doing to babies and little kids and what was done to you. Don't talk about that. Yeah, right. That's not God. That's Satan. And he's defeated, and that's his kingdom. All the fallen angels and all the demons, which are Nephilim, and that's another topic that needs to be elaborated on. But either way, Jesus paid for us to be free, and in every way possible, so that we are debt free, that we've everything. Yad He Vav He supply in Philippians 4:19 supplies all our needs according to his riches and glory in Jesus Christ. It's already paid for in heaven. So hallelujah. We command and demand, decree and decree on earth as it is in heaven. That's why Jesus said, pray that way. Pray that way. On earth as it is in heaven. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Right now. Right now, shift. Chronos to Kairos. Again, we'll elaborate more on that. Chronos is the name of a fallen angel. Kairos is what Jesus walked in. When time meets destiny, God acts and we must respond, is what kairos means in Greek. Now is the time we must respond. If any of us say that we're Christians and we love Jesus, we better not misrepresent him. We better not. God is not mocked. Okay, it's a big deal. Again, may the fear of the Lord go globally through all of us, inside and out. I impart it. That's what it was like being in front of Jesus. His love is so incredible. That you just are in awe and you fear, oh, I don't want to fail him. I don't want to not be in his face. I do not want to not follow him. I do not want to do what he commands me and requires me to do. I mean, it's so beautiful because that's all that's life and life abundantly and total healing, following Jesus Christ of Nazareth. So again, we command, demand, agree, and decree it. Now, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God says, Father Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh says, whatever you ask me in Jesus' name, I will do. I asked you, Father Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, in Yeshua HaMashiach's holy name, send your spirit fire more, the fear of the Lord, inside and out, from the north, south, east, west, right now, on earth as it is in heaven, that the Father may be glorified through the Son, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. He's coming soon for his bride, his ecclesia, without spot or wrinkle. I pray that we all choose the narrow way. God bless you.